All right, now, y'all. Let's break it down like this. How the hell does Zion possibly know Ghost and Tommy? The one thing we do know is that it's associated with drug dealing. When you look at Zion's age, okay, Zion has to be no more than maybe 10 years younger than Ghost and Tommy, 15 years at the maximum, right? But then maybe he's only up to 5 years younger than Ghost and Tommy. And within this 5 to 10 year range, this is where a whole bevy of possibilities can be created for the burning question of how does Zion know Ghost and Tommy? So right now, what I believe is the most logical explanation for how Zion knows Ghost and Tommy well enough to know how crazy Tommy is and well enough to be able to tell Tariq that Ghost had a knack for solving a problem before it became a problem is that either Zion himself was one of Ghost and Tommy's first runners in the drug game, or Zion on his own, being that he's not from Queens and they say he's from Manhattan, he built himself up in Manhattan, and by the time he needed more weight, by the time he needed more serious plugs to deal with, this is where he ran into Ghost and Tommy through someone who's probably not alive, that we will find out about in the future. Maybe it'll be in later Raising Kanan seasons, if they already showed us a glimpse of young Ghost and Tommy. Maybe it'll be in Power Origins, where we're introduced to a younger Zion, right? And the person who connected him to Ghost and Tommy. But these seem to be the most logical scenarios. So let's build on this, okay? Let's really, really build on this. As far as the scenario of Zion being Ghost and Tommy's first runner or one of their first runners, that would imply that he's more familiar with Kane and may even be more familiar with Breeze, for all we know, right? After Breeze is killed by Ghost and Tommy, and they took that next step up, they needed more of their own runners. Hence, they end up coming across Zion in that way. That would make for more entertaining TV, right? We could get more of a backstory on Zion if that's what the writers intend. And with that being said, we have a young Zion who now we can have even more of a backstory on how he's from Manhattan, but he ended up in Queens. Now, here's the thing. Depending on how old Zion is, we can see a scenario where after 96 or going into the 2000s, but if you want to make it interesting, we could have someone like Zion who, being in high school, that's the easy explanation of how he ended up in high school in Queens and ended up meeting Ghost and Tommy. They took him under the wing. Maybe he was an underclassman. That's a scenario that could work. Another scenario is they meet Breeze already. They're already in the mix. So either while Breeze is around, or more importantly, after Breeze gets knocked off, Ghost and Tommy were already kind of familiar, right, with Zion. Maybe they did run into him in high school, right? Maybe kind of lost track, or maybe kept in touch, right? Because they had similar interests, right? Similar jobs in the streets. And once Breeze is gone, they think, hey, we need to get this weight off. I heard Zion is doing this thing in Manhattan, right? And maybe at the same time, Zion is looking for more weight. They run in it. Ghost and Tommy, they reach out to him. They have a business arrangement. And through that business arrangement, right, Zion further gets to understand how crazy Tommy is. And he further gets to understand the genius intellect of James St. Patrick, aka the Ghost Man. However we find out that Zion knows ghosts, it will be one of these ways. You can bet your bottom dollar on it, man. Somehow, some way, Zion had to have been closely involved in some kind of drug dealing with the man named Ghost and the man named Tommy Egan, right? And throughout that scenario of however he was building with Ghost and Tommy, it left such a lasting impression on him that 20, 25, 30 years later, when Tariq is looking for work, he recognizes who Tariq is through his last name maybe, and he says, I have so much divine respect for this man's father that I'm going to give his son a shot. Somehow, some way, right, Zion had to have had personal dealings with Ghost and Tommy. But the question is, when? How far back does it go? Did Zion meet Ghost and Tommy in high school? Is Zion related to Ghost in some kind of way? Did Zion maybe run into Tommy Egan, right, in some kind of juvenile facility, Spofford or something back in the day, right? Or did Zion run into Ghost and Tommy during the beginning of their real ascension into being the biggest drug dealers in New York City? Because we know that they had the entire New York City on smash, every borough, by the time episode 1 of OG Power rolls around. It's anybody's guess. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Peace.
Can't teach that shit, nigga. Come on. That's God-given. That's touched by an angel. That's on the dome, nigga.